What's going on, Kingdom Diplomats? Thought I'd just stop in here, make a pit stop, right? Real quick. Had a productive day in business. Uh, just started another business. And I got to thinking about after a few projects that we had today, I thought I'd just come in here and um, let you guys know what's in my brain trust, of which I believe that will help many of you that have an open umbrella, so to speak, or are ready to receive. As you know, time is against all of us, right? And the only thing that we can do with time is to harness it. Well, how do you harness time? Well, let me ask you a question. How do you harness a horse? Well, you need to know, we need to know the laws. I haven't harnessed a horse before, but I watch a lot of cowboy movies and stuff like that. But obviously, you need to know the behaviors of a horse. In other words, you need to know the laws, right, of the horse. And there's laws in there also too, because if you don't know the laws of dealing with a horse, that wild animal obviously can kill you, or damage you or hurt you really bad, right? So here's why I made a quick pit stop. Is because, and you're going to hear some stuff in the background. Um, I'm out here on the front porch. Gosh, it's about 75 degrees. Beautiful sky. Clouds look like they're moving north, northwest. Sun is setting. Birds chirping. Just nice and calm overall. So very relaxing. So I just dropped a tip in there for you also too. It's one thing to have something externally where it just seems like it's peaceful, but it's another thing to have something which is more invaluable, is having peace internally. And the only way you're going to be able to find that is you and me being the product. We got to know the manufacturer because there's laws that apply to that. So I actually wasn't intended on saying that, but somebody needed to hear that. Maybe it was me. But here's why I want to stop in here. So the law of value trumps the law of acceptance. Well, what do you mean, Tariq? So we learned in school the law of gravity, right? So when you jump off, gravity has no respect of a person's. Gravity, you jump off something, gravity pulls you down, right? If you throw something in the air, gravity pulls it down, right? Because we weigh more than gravity, right? So it's a law. It has no respect of a person's. It's not. It doesn't care about your color, doesn't care about your religion, doesn't care if you're happy, mad, sad. It doesn't matter how much money you have, don't have. It doesn't matter what happens to you. The law of gravity has no respect, right? Because the manufacturer, that's how he created it. Okay, now check this out. So for every law that there is, what I learned from my mentors and learned through reading and learned by applying a lot of these principles is that there's another law that actually supersedes that law. Okay, I don't know if you ever paid attention to it. So what trumps the law of gravity? Well, we see it every day. We see it on movies. You got the law of lift, right? So if you look up the law of lift, you have to, I think of the Wright brothers. A lot of them thought a lot of people thought they were cuckoo. They probably wanted to put them in a mental hospital or institution, right? When they should have been put in a mental institution. See, here's one thing I learned. When you step out, if you know your vision and you know your gift and you step out for your assignment that was put inside you, there's going to be people, especially close to you, who believe that you're going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? How many people thought that Einstein was cuckoo? How many people thought that Jesus of Nazareth was cuckoo? How many people thought that Mahatma Gandhi was cuckoo? On and on and on. Abe Lincoln. I mean, people you can think of, right? So the law of lift supersedes the law of gravity. And so what the Wright brothers did, and they said, if birds can fly, why can't we fly? And bam, the rest is history, right? Now they had to go through a lot of stuff in between where people didn't believe in them and maybe they doubted many times, but they didn't give up. And that's why you have people flying millions of miles, probably weekly, or maybe even a day, around the world. Now, the law of acceptance. Here's why I wanted to bring that up. So, I don't know if you know this. Every human being is outside of kids, where they don't have no control of what situation they're born into. When you get to a certain level of accountability, every, I would say, probably young adult, it depends, but I would say more of a mature adult or a grown adult, biologically speaking, is where they are in life in every single area based upon our own thinking, right? So I had to come to grips with that years and years ago, right? I had to lower my pride because we all have pride, right? And pride will keep you poor. Pride will keep you broke. Pride will cause you to be frustrated. My gosh, bitterness and all that type of stuff. It actually is contrary to our own body too. I don't know if you know that, because there's laws in the body, and if you act too far in the opposite direction, right? If something, like I said before, I use this example again, if you're driving down the road, right, that car, because you have it in drive, that manufacturer made that car to drive down the road. You got D, right? So if you put it in reverse, yes, it's supposed to go in reverse, but what if that law on the street is just all the traffic is going in one direction, and you decide, or I decide, to go in the opposite direction? Now we're breaking a law, right? Now, laws are there to protect us. Now, okay, I say that to say this. So the law of acceptance is, because we are right now where we are, we have a choice. Do we continue to keep going where we are going in every area of life? And by the way, hopefully you guys know this. It took me years to figure this out. Um, and I don't know who prompted me to think about this, but things are still moving. Inanimate objects are actually moving. So the things are either growing or dying constantly. That's one thing I learned. So even if you can look at the tree, if it doesn't move, you can look at a leaf. There's things that are happening on the inside because there's elements externally that are affecting that thing. Are you listening to me? So with the law of acceptance, we can accept right now and stay right now where we are in life, or we can choose. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of power in that word choosing, right? But that's only internally. There's a word that you have to employ, which is to decide. Okay, you have to decide. So you're choosing in your mind, and this decision means to choose and to act on what you're choosing to do. So what are you talking about, Tariq? So you're saying, hey, you know what? I'm following you more. I'm taking some of your advice. I'm applying some things. Okay, let me know. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what's working with some of the things that I learned, and maybe some things aren't working. You put it in the chat box or whatever. Okay. Um, so the law of acceptance, and I'm about to get off here in the next 2 minutes. The law of acceptance is superseded by the law of value. And I love talking about the law of value. Here's why. Because laws, if we know these laws, you can succeed in any area of life if you choose to. Now, there's no difference between somebody who knowing these seen laws and unseen laws and somebody who knows them but chooses not to apply them. They're still in the same boat, okay? So the law of value I like talking about is because we all have value. And what I said before is that our gift gives us, once you find out what your gift is, it makes room for you on this planet, in this world system, right? It'll make a way. Look at every person, whether they had a singing gift, poetry gift, sports, depending upon the sports gift, art gift, whatever gift they had to teach, whatever it is, they mastered that gift. They added value to it. And guess what? Money, success, natural resources chase them. See, money runs from you if you try to chase it. believe you me, for several years, right? Because that's what our culture teaches us, right? We grew up in this whole Western world culture, Greek mentality, culture, very prideful, capitalistic type culture where we think we know everything, we can do everything ourselves. Now look where we are mentally as a nation. We're in a very bad position, terrible position, you know. But as soon as people, one person, two people, three people, five people, 100 people, and it just, as soon as one person, like yourself or myself, that can make a difference, or decides to make a difference, guess what? We can affect other people because we all influence people. Okay, there's the laws of influence also too. I don't have time to get into. So adding value to yourself, you have a choice, right? And every day that goes by, obviously you already know we can't get back. So choose today, going into the weekend, where you can say, you know what, I worked 40, 50 hours a week. But if you weren't working in your own business, you were working for somebody else's dream, somebody else's family. You were paying for somebody's wife's, diamond ring. You were paying, you was spending time away from your husband and your kids, and your wife and your kids and your family, for somebody else's cars or yachts and everything like that. So my question to you is, why not believe that you have value for yourself? Okay, so I'm out of here. I just thought I'd drop those nuggets, those gold nuggets. Don't try to eat them. Um, Melt them down little by little, and just gnaw on them little by little. Okay. So anyway, you guys have a great weekend. Do something for yourself this weekend. Well, do something for yourself to relax, but do something for yourself where you pick up a book. Go buy a book, 10, 15 bucks, on people skills, on relationships. Um, don't let a library incriminate you, right? Don't let the ignorance monster keep beating you down, okay? Because when we get to a certain age, if we're ignorant on certain things that are just the things that we know we need to know, if we're ignorant at an area, guess whose fault it is? It's my fault. It's your fault, or whoever's fault. Are you listening to me? Because we have the advent of the web, we have a whole bunch of tools at our disposal. So if we choose not to do it, it's because we just choose not to do it, or we decide not to do it. So you guys have a great weekend. Write your vision upon tablets. Write it down, in detail. Take some time out for yourself, because I promise you, those regrets that you have right now, what you didn't do, not what you did do back in the things that you did, you can't do anything about that. Repent, change your thinking, ask for forgiveness. You know who I'm talking about. I said on previous talks. You already know what to do. Okay, but it's gonna the regrets come from the things that we didn't do, that we didn't try, right? There's a difference between trying and doing, but the things that we didn't do, just give a full effort for, right? Those are the things that we regret. Talk to some, if you're some of your grandparents or great grandparents are in the flesh, ask them that question. Don't be afraid, right? What are some things that you didn't do that you regret? And they'll tell you. So you guys have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Well, I'm gonna say dads, because there's a difference between dads and fathers. See, this is about ideas. Fathers, you can have a relationship one night, and the young lady get pregnant. Guess what? And you're off somewhere else. That's a father, because it's biological. But a dad, whether it be blood, adoption, or so on and so forth. No, a dad is somebody who's in pursuit of trying to learn how to be a man, to those kids. That's a whole nother topic in itself. But I'm gonna pay homage to you guys, you dads. Kudos to you, the ones that are sticking around, the ones that are thinking about leaving. Don't do it. I promise you, the whole purpose of marriage as an institution is to bring up really good seed, right? Do your best. Sometimes 90% of success, well, I would say all the time, 90% of success is just showing up. That's all it is. Showing up. When my son was born, or let's say when he was conceived and I found out, At the time, my girlfriend, who is my wife today, because that's not always the story, around the world. And I said, you know what? I'm a, I feel like I'm still a kid myself. Um, and obviously I was 20, but I said I thought this in my mind when I was 20 years young, and I found out my son was on the way in 9 months, and I said, I don't know everything, but I'm willing to, because of what I had to go through, I'm willing to be there for him, right? I'm willing to show up there for him. So I had a few. It was rough there for a little bit for his first 3 years. I did a lot of stupid things, irresponsible things, but for the majority of his life, and Skippy, I was there for him, and we'll continue to be there for him and our kids. So, you guys have a great weekend. Dad, don't do anything. Chill, relax. Moms, kids, take care of the king.